Most, if not all, NFL players that have great rookie seasons probably envision a long career with a ton of success attached to it. But unfortunately, it doesn't always go that way, whether it's due to injury, team situation, or something else. Today, we're going to go over NFL players that peaked in their rookie seasons and then fell off afterwards. Hopefully you guys enjoy, leave a like, it always helps out, and let's get into it. There's quite a few running backs on this list, and we're going to start with one here. Cadillac Williams was the 5th overall pick of the 2005 draft, and he lived up to that in the first season of his career. He won AP Offensive Rookie of the Year, nearly rushing for 1,200 yards at 4.1 yards per carry and 6 touchdowns. In year 2, his production dropped significantly despite playing in the same amount of games. He only averaged 3.5 per carry and scored 1 touchdown during his sophomore season in 2006, and after that he had a devastating knee injury in 2007. After that, we never saw the same Cadillac Williams again. He did have some success in 2009 and was runner-up for Comeback Player of the Year, but he still only had 823 yards and averaged below 4 yards per carry. After a disappointing 6 years in Tampa, Williams signed with the Rams to back up Steven Jackson. He had decent efficiency in that role and did score a touchdown in his final NFL game. It wasn't a bad career, but after being selected 5th overall and peaking as a rookie, it was not what the Buccaneers had hoped for. Brian Cushing is probably known more for his antics, PED suspension, and headbutting a guy without a helmet on, resulting in a lot of bleeding. But Cushing was an absolute monster in his rookie year with the Houston Texans. After being selected 15th overall out of USC, Cushing played in all 16 games in 2009 and put up the best season of his career. He was tied 6th in the NFL in tackles that season with 133, had 4 sacks, forced 2 fumbles, forced a safety, defended 10 passes, and had 4 interceptions, all in his rookie season. He became the 2nd player in Texans history to win Defensive Rookie of the Year, joining his teammate DeMeco Ryans, who did it a few years prior. Cushing was also one of the few rookies to make the Pro Bowl during that 2009 season. Unfortunately for him, he did earn 2nd team All-Pro during his rookie season, but the unfortunate part was that he had it rescinded during the offseason when Cushing failed a drug test and was suspended the first 4 games of 2010. He had a couple more good seasons in his career, but nothing topped that 2009 rookie season. After injuries in 2012 and 2013, including a torn ACL, it was tough for Cushing to get back to what he used to be. He had a successful 2015 season with 110 tackles and playing all 16 games, but a couple years later would be the end of his career. Cushing was suspended 10 games in 2017 for failing another drug test, and with him being over 30 years old and declining play, he was released by the Texans. Although the Texans are pretty young as a franchise, you could still argue he's the best linebacker in their history so far if you don't include JJ Watt. When you are picking in the 6th round of the NFL draft, your expectations are to be no more than a special teams player most times. But for 6th round pick Alfred Morris, he took the league by storm during his rookie season. Morris was a big back, over 220 pounds, out of Florida Atlantic, but he was a perfect fit for Washington right away. Morris started his career in Washington having to beat out some guys on the depth chart like Tim Hightower and Roy Halou, but it turned out to be the right decision. Morris averaged over 100 rushing yards per game as a rookie and was a perfect complement to RG3's running style. Morris played in all 16 games, racking up over 1,600 rushing yards and 13 total touchdowns on 4.8 yards per carry. He was one of those guys that if you picked him up off the waivers in fantasy football that year, he probably won you your league. We all know how the story goes though, and Morris's production kept dropping off year after year. He had a good year 2 with 1,200 rushing yards and even topped over 1,000 in year 3, but after that we never saw Morris reach that level of dominance except for a short stint in Dallas down the line. In 2017, while Zeke was serving a 6-game suspension, Morris filled in an average 4.8 yards per carry, his best mark since his rookie year. After that, he bounced around with Arizona, San Francisco, and the New York Giants for 1 season each, and that was the last we saw of him. Morris still had a really good career based on where he was drafted and actually had a few very productive seasons, but his skill set, aka lack of receiving work, was not what a lot of teams wanted at that point. But if you're an NFC East fan minus the Eagles, you're going to have some fond memories of Alfred Morris. Doug Martin was taken in the 1st round, 31st overall during the 2012 draft by the Buccaneers. 2012 was the 1 year of Greg Schiano coaching the Bucs, and he put the entire team's rushing load on Doug Martin's back. Martin saw a team-high 319 carries, and the next closest was LeGarrette Blount, who had only 41. Martin finished 2012 with 1,454 rushing yards, 12 touchdowns, 4.6 yards per carry, and almost 500 receiving yards as well. He broke the Bucs' rookie rushing record, which was actually held by Cadillac Williams, and he made the Pro Bowl that year. Martin looked to be one of the better backs in the league for years to come, but that's not exactly how how it went. Years 2 and 3 were shortened due to injury, and his efficiency took a big drop as well. However, in year 4, Martin was in a contract year and put up his best season since his rookie year and earned first-team All-Pro in 2015. He signed a 5-year, $35 million extension with Tampa, but he went back to being injured and less efficient right after. He spent his last season in Oakland in 2018, and that was the last we saw of Martin. His career followed an odd pattern. He would have one great year, then 2 bad years right after. It still got him a very big contract, so I'm sure in the end he's satisfied with how that played out. Steve Slayton was electric in college for West Virginia University. After 55 touchdowns and nearly 4,000 rushing yards in 3 college seasons, Slayton was taken in the 3rd round by the Texans. As a rookie in 2008, he earned the starting job a few weeks in and had a really productive season in Gary Kubiak's system. He played in all 16 games, almost 1,300 rushing yards, 4.8 yards per carry, 10 touchdowns, and almost 400 receiving yards. It looked like Slayton was going to be a solid starting running back for years to come, but he disappointed big time in year 2. He had fumbling issues, lost some carries to Chris Brown, who they signed from the Titans, and Ryan Moats. He wasn't as efficient as his rookie season, and he had an injured shoulder that made him miss almost half the year. 2010 was another chance for Slayton to bounce back, but this young running back named Arian Foster took over as the starter, and they never looked back. After barely getting any run in 2010, Slayton was released after 3 games in 2011 and picked up by the Dolphins, who barely used him as well. Slayton played in the Canadian Football League in 2014, but after that, his professional football career was over. The fumbles, injuries, and the emergence of Arian Foster did him in, but it's a shame his NFL career only lasted 4 seasons. In his first couple of years in the NFL, Jordan Howard looked like he was one of the best Bears running backs since Matt Forte, minus the receiving aspect, of course. But anyway, the 5th round pick out of Indiana had to beat out Jeremy Langford and Jaquiz Rodgers, and once he did, he excelled as a rookie. Howard put up over 1,300 rushing yards in 15 games, along with 7 total touchdowns and just shy of 300 receiving yards. It was even more impressive because the Bears' offense in 2016 was horrendous, and the team was 3-13 overall. Howard averaged 5.2 yards per carry that rookie season, and he never saw 5 the rest of his career. Last season in 2021, he had 4.7 yards per carry as a backup in Philly, but he never was as efficient as he was during that 2016 season. Howard's career is still going on, and he's still just 27 years old, so maybe he can contribute to a winning team, assuming another team takes a chance on him this offseason. Lastly, we sadly have to go with Robert Griffin III. The 2nd overall pick out of Baylor was very hyped up out of college, and he certainly lived up to the hype after year 1. He led Washington to the playoffs while leading the league in yards per pass attempt and yards per rush attempt, which is a very rare feat for a quarterback. After a Week 14 knee sprain, Griffin struggled a bit his final 2 starts, but he kept playing through the injury, and that included wildcard weekends. We all know the story about how he planted his foot awkwardly, resulting in a torn LCL, ACL, and meniscus tear, and that was pretty much the end of it. We never saw that version of RG3 ever again, sadly. A down year in year 2, followed by a dislocated ankle in year 3, and that was pretty much the end. It was Kirk Cousins' team from there forward, and RG3 could never really rebound, whether it was with the Browns or the Ravens. His story is probably the saddest because it was ended due to injury. He still could have been playing today, and he had the talent to be a top 10 quarterback in the league for a long time. That's going to do it for this video of NFL players who peaked in their rookie seasons. Hopefully you guys enjoyed, and I'll talk to you guys next time.